You know, we really ran a business for 38 years, and we had a real estate business, a law practice, and so I really hadn't been in the public sphere very much. And I thought we needed to redo all the business laws in Mississippi. That was a thing that I worked with the Secretary of State's office a lot, and I thought these are archaic, they need to be changed, and it takes too long to get anything done. And so I started down that line, and so when y'all hired me the first time, that was a priority for me, was to have our business laws updated, and I have rewritten every single one of them. And corporations, LLCs, trademarks, all of those, I rewrote all of them. They were passed by the legislature, and now it used to take 2 weeks to get a charter. Now it takes like 2 seconds. And we lowered the fees. My budget this year is less than the day you hired me. So I've been real conscious of taxpayer dollars. Then voter ID came, and we passed that. I was in favor of voter ID, and it fell upon our office to make sure voter ID was implemented. And we did that. We're the only state that didn't get sued. Mississippi was. They had put a whole bunch of money in the budget for lawyers, and fortunately we didn't have to spend any of it. So I felt like that was something that we needed to do. And then autism came. We didn't have any autism insurance in Mississippi, and I thought that was a critical need. And so 2 years ago we were able to work with the legislature and have an autism bill passed, and we had an autism conference just yesterday in the Capitol. So I wanted to do those, and I had real estate, and so I thought our 16th section lands need to be managed better. And I didn't want these $1 sweetheart deals that were out there, because all that money went to public schools. So this year, in my term, I will break $1 billion raised for public education through there, an increase of about $400 million since I took office. So I thought that was important, that we have our public schools get as much money as they could. And then I thought it was important to have a place to take your children. So I've acquired more land than any Secretary of State ever in the history of Mississippi. We've acquired over 20,000 acres of public property, an island, Cat Island. Now you own Cat Island. I thought that was important, and we've paid virtually nothing for any of these. We got either donations or government funds, other federal government funds to pay them. So I felt like we'd accomplished what we started to do. And I started looking at the structure of Mississippi government and where I could make changes in things that I thought were important. Educated workforce. That's the future for Mississippi. Our young men and women have 7 grandchildren, Lynn have 7 grandchildren. And where are they going to work? Who are they going to work for? Who are they going to work with? That became really important to me. They're getting up into the teenage years now, some of them. And so that became very important to me. So I started looking at where we could work on things like educated workforce, infrastructure, rural health care. I had a good bit of experience in health care. So I started looking at where you could do the most, where could you put your finger on the button to do the most good in this, and that office is the Lieutenant Governor's office. And so that's where it's led me to where I am today. Some of them said they're sad to see me leave here because the office is running real well, but they'll be, I have faith in the voters. They'll elect somebody to run it better than I did. But it's been overwhelmingly positive. People are, the issues that we're talking about, the health care, the rural health care, the infrastructure, educated workforce, those kinds of things that I think we can have some input into changing and whatnot. People are very enthusiastic about it. I've been pleased, and that enthusiasm comes from Tupelo to Pascagoula. I mean, we've been all over the state now in the last couple of months, and it's really heartwarming. I think that people acknowledge that you did a good job, excited about the job you're going to do, and a lot of them, of course, ask what's the new ad going to look like. They want to see the little lady on the bench and us talking again. So we want to make sure we fulfill all their expectations. At least half of my time is going to be spent on educated workforce. Allegedly, the lieutenant governor's position is part-time, and you're supposed to only work during the session. Well, I'm not going to do that. You should anticipate I've worked my whole life 6 or 7 days a week, and I'm going to be a full-time lieutenant governor. And that will allow me, after the session, to go out to schools, community colleges. You'll see me out in factories. You'll see me all over Mississippi when we're not working here in the Capitol. And that educated workforce is the future of Mississippi. That begins with 4-year-olds to me, and you exit that education when you have sufficient education to get a meaningful, life-paying job, a well-paying job that you can furnish your children and your family with. So you'll see us working a lot on that, and that will aggregate our community colleges into our high school systems. There'll be seamless transitions. You've seen some of that working already in Gulfport, Vicksburg. Others have started that process. We're going to make sure that that process is everywhere. It's too late when a young man or woman gets his high school diploma and walks across the stage and you say, what are you going to do now? That's way behind where we should have been. So you'll see us start career technical training in 10th, 11th, 12th grade. You'll see us start working on taking dual credit courses for colleges, so it won't be so expensive if you want to go to college. About 70% of Mississippians don't get a full baccalaureate degree, and every one of them deserves a full job. So you'll see most of our time spent on that. Infrastructure, rural healthcare is very important to us. We've been visiting rural healthcare centers like Tallahatchie County. I was there. Spent a day going through their hospital, which is now a emergency room, and then assisted living for the remaining parts of the hospital. And then they have a huge wellness center that is a real key for Mississippi. You'll see me promoting those around in the rural areas. Just a phenomenal facility, actually. So there are a lot of good things I think we can do going forward that would have a significant impact on where my grandchildren are going to grow up, where I want them to stay, the culture that I want them to have, the same one that I had growing up in Mississippi, and what their future is like. Well, first of all, somebody asked me that the other day, are you going to be able to work across the aisle? I don't see an aisle. Once I get hired, I see a state I'm supposed to be running and the best jobs and the most economy. So from that standpoint, I think in the Senate, that's the way I intend to operate. Everything that I have already done, all of these things that we talked about, all of these business laws and everything that we did, we got everybody in a room, and this is voter ID. People were for it, against it. We got them all in a room. This is what we need to do. We heard everybody. We moved on, and it proved very effective throughout my 12 years that I worked for Citizens of Mississippi. That's the way I intend to run the other. I have my priorities. The governor may have others. That'll be great. You know, we'll sit down. Whatever's best for Mississippi is what we're fixing to do. You know, I do trust the voters to make a good decision. It's kind of like when you let your children go off to school or whatever. You hope they'll succeed, and we've got good candidates seeking the office, and one of them will matriculate up, and during the interim period between they get elected November and December, I'm going to spend a good bit of time with them saying, these are the things I think we did right, these are the things I didn't think I did right, here's some challenges that I may have done, and we have continuing challenges here. Cybersecurity is a huge challenge for us. I work on it almost every day, and I feel like I need to brief that person on what the statuses of those things are and the people that are trying to penetrate our system and whatnot. So there's a learning curve, and I hope to make that as minimal for whoever succeeds us. And I hope we left it a little bit better than we had it when we first started. I don't know. I think voters probably know me pretty well by now. I guess if they knew anything about me, it is that when I say we're going to do something, that it usually happens. So when I talk to you about the things and the priorities that I have scheduled here, the odds are I wouldn't bet against Gilbert getting that done.